What up, TikTok? Hey, hope everybody's having a great Friday. Hey, don't let anything that's negative in your life dictate the rest of your life. Does that make sense? Hey, we all go through some hard times. We all go through some emotional stressors, maybe at work, maybe at home, whatever it may be. Don't let that dictate who you are and how you react to the rest of the things that life throws at you. Does that make sense? Like if you're feeling pissed off and angry all morning or all day, you're going to take that energy and you're going to present it to everybody else that surrounds you, your loved ones, your soldiers, whoever it may be. You're going to use that negative energy and it's just going to make everything worse. Try to be positive. Pick something positive in life that's going really well. Use that positive energy and let that dictate the rest of your day. We can harp on the negatives. We can harp on the bad things that are going on in life. It's not going to help us. It's not going to help us move forward. Stay strong, keep pushing, drive on. Happy Friday.
What's up, Trash Talkers? Hitting you up this morning with a special promo on how to dress when you are doing PT in civilians, but you want everybody to know you're an Army. This comes from the Buddy Beckwith fashion design of how to work out. So first, you can notice the RI panties. Not Ranger panties, but Ranger Instructor panties. The green socks, the knee brace for the old guys. Don't forget the M frames. Now the shirt, don't wear the Trash Talk shirt while you're running. This is just for the promo. You want to put on like an 80-second shirt or like your favorite airborne shirt so everybody knows that you're a veteran. That's the most important thing. And you start with this stretch. Buddy Beckwith taught me this one. Ready to go.
So, I'm walking out of the gas station and my co-worker, who's an old MP, but we still claim him, and has engaged the man in conversation. Not much for conversation with strangers, but he's got the tab. So, as I walk by, I say airborne, and the man responds with, and I quote, "Hoorah." So, after I instructed my coworker to slash every single tire before he put the car in gear, I looked for the biggest rock. As I crow hop to throw it through his back window so he can stop posing as one of us, I actually wake up and realize that the man's ignorance had incapacitated me for a moment, and I was daydreaming. I mean, because in that moment you got two options. I chose the third option and said, "Incorrect. That's an incorrect response." And I kept walking. The man said nothing and he pulled away. So you tell me, what is it, a stolen valor thing? No Marine's gonna have an airborne tab, and no paratrooper's gonna say "hidden hoorah." So you tell me, stolen valor?
Hey, y'all, I'm going to work. I left you a note on the refrigerator. I love y'all. I'm gonna go.
Hey, go get dressed. Get ready for school.
You're doing great. I was just tooling along.
Shit! Bad guys! Stop!
Let me break it down Barney style.
Tonight's show is brought to you by Ventura Training and Athletics. Restore, train, maintain. Specializing in the restoration of the muscular system to help you move and feel better. Combating TBI, PTSD, and pain through specialized strength training. Again, get your body right, get your mind right, defeat the demons.
This is the Veteran Trash Talk Hour, hosted by Nick, Dave, Joe, and Buddy. Today's special guest is Lino, a West Pointer who is writing his second book because no one read his first one.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Saturday. What's going on, Gruntworks community? What's going on, Trash Talkers? Welcome to episode 49 of the Trash Talk Hour. Shout out to our sponsors, Ventura Training and Athletics, Zach Farkas, And my favorite, 10th Mountain Whiskey. Go ahead and type in VTT and get yourself a discount. Special guest today is Lino, former Special Forces soldier and author of Sulu Arms. And today I'm joined by Nick, Buddy, and the Mad Colonel Rob. Over to you, Rob. Let's get this party started.
All right, check it out, y'all. So the unofficial start of summer is at the end of the month, right? Everybody thinks that Memorial Day is about fucking cookouts. It's not. Memorial Day is about honoring those that have fallen. All of the guys on this panel have probably experienced a loss through the combat and have experienced a loss outside of the fight. So two things that we have to consider is memorialize the ones that we lost under fire, fighting against the enemies of our nation, but also do not forget those that didn't survive the peace. Surviving the peace is just as important as surviving the war that we've all gone through. Now that the great CIB factory of 2021 is closing down, we all have to figure out what do we look like afterwards? What is going to be your goal as a soldier serving on active duty now that the war is closed? We know that our special forces friends will probably be out there all over the world, pumping their skill set at embassies to say, hey, boss, I can do some stuff for you. You just got to turn me loose, and we all have to feel that way. But imagine not having a mission set that has to do with dealing with foreign nationals, and the war is kind of at home. And one of the stories that I heard coming out of Market Garden 75, which was last year, was a group of guys walked up to an old veteran and said, hey, sir, thank you for your service. And this gentleman, without missing a beat, looks at those kids and says, hey, you guys were worth it. So as you guys are out there, Trash Talker and Gruntworks Nation and everybody else that's out there, think of it from this perspective. Be the country that made it worth it for those guys to jump into a foreign country, and for all your battle buddies and ranger buddies that went overseas and fought in different places around the world, be worth it for them. Make sure that their effort is honored by being a productive citizen and not just being a straight up asshole. And with that, I will pass the mic back to you guys. Thanks.
Hey, hell yeah, Rob. Good one. Good one.
Yeah, thanks for that. And just so everybody knows, he's on the spot. Was not even told he was being on today until about 10 minutes ago. So that was pretty awesome right there. Yeah, speaking of Holland, that's where the Netherlands are, buddy. In case you were wondering, that's where Market Garden was for your geography lesson.
That's where they have wind power everywhere. It's all wind power, guys.
Yeah, and of course, old General Ike wanted to, give the British, a bone and let him plan a mission. Well, it failed. Anyways, when I was over there jumping for, I think it was the 71st anniversary, and we're walking around and how appreciative they still are of Paris there. And I went to the bridge at Nijmegen, and they have a memorial there. But then it's National Airborne Week for them there. And they walked, I think it was 43 candles across the bridge every night for a week. And they went and laid it down. And I'm like, what's this all about? And they're like, oh, that's for the 43 Americans that died taking this bridge. So every year, these are people from the Netherlands. They're not even American citizens or nothing, and they every year they walk them across the bridge. And it was one of the most touching things that I've ever seen. But going on to the Book of Earl, right? So I always wear this shirt because, you stop being trigger pansy. And as Rob was talking about, hey, what is the Army going to look like now? What are we going to do when, we're not deploying all the time? Well, it's going to look like a bunch of girls with ponytails. All right. That's what it's going to look like. All right. And guess who doesn't give? All right. Nobody who fights wars cares if the girls have their hair in a ponytail. No one. And those of you who are whining and complaining that why is the big Army worried about that? Well, the big Army is always worried about retention. Okay. The big Army is always worried about getting people in. All right. So if we can get more females to serve because we don't make them do something stupid, right? Probably a good idea. Now, go ahead, Rob.
I was just going to say, and then we make them cut it off and we send them to Ranger school. So I'm fucking cool with it, right?
Yeah.
And if you want to do it.
And that's the other thing too, is, they're making some of these new policies and changes because women are now in combat arms. So why we just got to change? It's who it's for. All right. So the woman doesn't have to have a bun under her helmet when she's trying to maneuver and kill the enemy. All right. And her head's not hurting and all that kind of stuff. All right. Now, on the flip side of that, those of you, keyboard warrior female soldiers that are bragging about it, like it's, like you're Joan of Arc, and now you finally freed. Okay. I want to take a poll, and I want to see how many of you actually are in a combat arms unit that are bragging about getting to wear a ponytail. All right. Cause it probably doesn't matter what, anyways. I don't get why, one, somebody would be freaking triggered about it. And then two, I don't get why you're bragging about it, because none of the war fighters give a shit. Okay. None of us care. Wear the hair however the hell you want it. If it makes you shoot straight. Okay. That's all that matters. All right. Then, so anyways, that's the Book of Earl again. Stop being a triggered pansy. It's okay to get triggered. But again, the Army's not going to go away. It's not going to get worse because girls are wearing ponytails. All right. It's not going to get worse because we allow women to serve in an infantry unit. All right. It's just not. It's not going to get worse.
We can't have beards, Nick. We can't have beards.
But again,
except for you, buddy. Except for you, buddy. We got it. All right.
I know a place if you want a beard. If you want to earn a beard,
yeah.
You want to go get one. They're free.
I can't grow one, man. I can't grow one.
A lot of people can't. They grow goatees. It's not a huge deal. I'm just saying, if you want to drop your satchel and go get a beard, you can earn one in the Army. It's a great thing about the Army.
Yes, you can.
Correct.
Again, it's just like the United States. If you don't like your state, go to another one. All right. If you don't like your unit in the Army, do something better and go to a different unit. Right? Like, it's all on you. And again, drink a beer this weekend. All right. Drink a vodka, drink a 10th Mountain. Do what you got to do. Fucking relax. All right. Just relax. Nobody gives a shit about the ponytails. Nobody at all. And then there's one other thing that's been chapping my ass that got me a little triggered this week. All right.
Get him.
It's the ACFT. All right. It's the fucking ACFT. It's pissing me off. All right. So many people that are supposed to be the senior enlisted, the best guys, that picked for the Army, all right, are whining and complaining about having to take a diagnostic ACFT. All right. It doesn't even fucking count, but they're out there and I'm watching them try to deadlift like 140 pounds and it's disgusting. All right. Like, seriously, they started PRT a long time ago. If you just do it, if you do all those little drills, if you can't do a leg tuck, all right, do the climbing drills. You'll be able to do a leg tuck in about 2 months. All right. And just like that Captain Koss said, she's like, there isn't a problem with the standards of ACFT. She's like, there's a problem with soldiers not wanting to work their way up to it. That's the problem. All right. So stop whining about the ACFT. If you played video games your whole life and you're not athletic, it's going to be tough for you. All right. It is. So you just work a little bit harder. All right. You get up earlier, you go to bed later, and you do more PT. All right. That's what you do.
But COVID stopped me. But COVID stopped me from doing PT.
Oh yeah, COVID. And we're gonna do height and weight.
Pavement is goddamn free. Yeah. The pavement is free. Go get it.
Exactly. Like, I lost 15 pounds during COVID because I got to work out more. All right. So like,
heck yeah.
Yeah. But
Did a lot of leg tucks in my apartment.
Yeah. What about all the times you're sitting on the side of a mountain in Afghanistan in some remote ass fob and you didn't have a gym? That's the same sequence as having COVID, right?
You made one, right, Rob? Yep.
Yeah. You go steal some coffee cans from the chow hall, pour some semen in it, and everybody's working out, getting prison big.
So anyways, that triggered me, and I didn't become a pansy until right now, and I got upset about it. So again, it's okay to get triggered. It's whether or not you become a pansy that makes the difference. All right. Just, you can get upset, but don't become a freaking pansy. Stop. All right. Well, over to you, buddy.
You can buy that shirt at shop.veterantrashtalk.com.
You good? Are you guys good? Are we good? Is it really over to me?
I started sweating during that.
So
that's my job. I got to plug in.
I'm trying to figure out segues, but anyway, to segue, caveat, and behoove people to listen all at the same time. First of all, Colonel Rob is right. It is almost Memorial Day. He's also right that it's time to remember that it's Memorial Day, not Veterans Day. That's always a big pet peeve of mine when people are like, "Hey, happy Memorial Day. Thank you for your service." Like, I'm not dead, so it's cool. Also, I do generally like to say to those people, like, if you're gonna celebrate Memorial Day, remember the fallen, but don't fucking mourn the fallen. None of my friends that died were fucking sad ever. They were partying. They fucking drank. They had steak. They hung out with their families. If you are gonna remember them how they lived, not how they died. Like, that's all we can really do for those guys. On to the ACFT. Nick, the thing that I personally am triggered about the ACFT is that we, as a group of people, put our heads together and decided to make a PT test that had to have AstroTurf fields, road weights, and like an area to run that we can't replicate while we're deployed, but you have to do it every 6 months, even though our deployments are a year long. I think that part is the part that most people are kind of annoyed with. The rest of it, it's just a PT test. Go take it. Who cares? What, are you going to be tired? You're going to be tired anyway. Also, watching the regular army, like watching kids that have never try to deadlift is like watching young Bambi try to walk on a frozen lake of oil. It's hilarious. It hurts my back.
Bambi reference. That was good.
Oh my god, it hurts my back to watch.
Buddy hits you.
All right.
Buddy hits you
Now,
with real shit.
My actual honesty cap for the day. It's also going to segue into my introducing Lino Miani, our guest
buddy,
of the day.
perfetto.
Hey, you know what? I've been practicing. I'm really good at fake American foreign accents. Not a big deal. Most times they turn to Russian and Arabic, but whatever. Anywho,
no big deal.
This honesty cap is for our civilians. There are a lot of civilians that watch our show, and I feel like all of the veterans would like to share an honesty cap with you that we feel like we just try to appease you. We're nice. We shake our heads and we go, but just because you know somebody that joined the Army and went to airborne school between 1940 and 2021 doesn't mean that I know him. Just because they joined the Army and they wore a uniform at some point does not mean I know Bill, who joined the Army in 1987, and I think he rode in an airplane once. Do you know Bill? No, I fucking don't know Bill. Now, if you want to go through the line and go, hey, what unit were you in? Oh, you were in the division. By the way, that's the division, not any division. Oh, okay. I know a guy that was in. I know a guy that was in the division. Were you in what brigade were you in? What battalion? What company? Maybe at that point, I might know that guy if he was there the same like few years that I was there. Other than that, just like, I know a guy that was in the Army. That's cool. Keep it moving, but stop making us have to go. Who? Name sounds familiar. But just can't put the name in the face because we're bullshitting. That's not true. We don't remember that motherfucker at all. Stop asking us. All right. Anyway.
Like Buddy's triggered too, man.
I'm not triggered.
Yeah,
I'm not triggered. I'm just trying to help you
became
out.
a pansy.
Oh no, man.
They're making it real weird. Stop making it weird. Anyway, I say that because I have the privilege, nay, the honor to introduce Mr. Lino Miani. All right, Lino was in 1st Special Forces Group. Apparently,
never heard of it.
Yeah, right. I remember when I used to take trips to Thailand for no real reason. Anywho, whatever. He's got a BS degree. I'm from Alabama. I have been able to bullshit people for a long time and didn't have to go to public school to be able to do it because he also graduated. He also graduated from West Point, which is just a really nice way of saying you went to public school your whole life. Not a huge deal. Anywho, so another fun fact about Lino is that he speaks a lot of languages. He's Italian, but to Dave's chagrin, does not in fact speak Italian at all. Which is like when you get like a Hispanic dude and you go to like a Mexican place and you're like, hey bro, order for me, and he's like, I don't fucking speak Spanish, and you're like, what the fuck? Yeah. Anywho, so Lino, welcome to the show. Tell us what you got going on.
Thanks, man. It's good to be here.
Oh,
Yeah, cheers. I've got can't even read this, Rotaburger Pilsner or something my brother
says
has
White
in it.
Claw.
Yeah.
German beer, Pilsner. Good job.
Yeah. No, hey, thanks for having me on the show. I'm actually here because of crazy Lieutenant Colonel Rob. I appreciate the referral there, Rob. So he kind of turned me on to you guys, and here we are. Rob and I go back to those days when we were at public school. So what that means is that Rob and I have known each other since we were teenagers. So you start to see just how old I really am, even though I probably don't look it, even though he does. But yeah, I mean, all this stuff about ACFT and ponytails and shit, that's all newfangled crap. I'm here in my grandpa chair thinking about like how innovative that is compared to what we went through. I would say this, I'm not triggered by the ponytails either, Nick. And just so you know, we're kind of like joining the rest of the Western military tradition by letting the ladies have ponytails. So for me, it's like, okay, guys, yeah, we finally got to a certain stage of development.
Yeah, only after 200 years.
Yeah, right. And Rob, your words about Memorial Day really meant a lot to all of us, probably to me in particular as well, because what Buddy didn't know is there is a Combat Diver Foundation, and our mission is to preserve the history of the combat diver community. And so we've got this awesome logo here that I designed. This is the vintage one, and it's got a black bar across the. I'm not known for my artistic kind of imagination, fellas. But
don't worry, you don't have to justify yourself or your failures.
Yeah, no, I kind of do because I suck at it. But so there it is. It's the Dive Soup logo with a black bar across it, and it's a little bit of memorialization for the guys that we've lost. And if you go on our website, there's a story about a guy named Mike Tarlovsky from 5th Group, who was a combat diver and a good friend of mine from when I was in the infantry. And Mike lost his life in 2004 fighting the Mahdi army in Basra, and for those of you that know the history, we subsequently made a deal with those guys. And so it was like, all right, let's go put these dudes into the meat grinder. And it was Alpha 1-5 and the Sinks and Extremist Force. And they were dropping the hammer on the Mahdi army. And then a few weeks later, it was like, we don't like this fighting so much. We're all going to be buddies now. And that's sort of held. They're part of the government, since. But at the same time, you kind of went, geez, man, did a guy like Mike have to take a bullet in the face in order to get to this point? So we at the Combat Diver Foundation, although we're not specifically memorializing individuals as part of our mission, we do that. Mike's one of those. We're also having our annual Combat Diver reunion and fundraiser in August at the Floribama Lounge in Pensacola. It's the largest beach bar in Florida, owned by a combat diver buddy of mine. And we're doing a memorial 5K, and that memorial is in memory of a guy named John Werka, who, for those of you who know the story, John was a Green Beret combat diver in 7th Special Forces Group, and life got the best of him, and he died of a non-combat related injury. Now we all know what that's a euphemism for. I don't know the details of what was going on in the background, and frankly, we never do we? But we're going to take a moment to memorialize John and hopefully bring a little bit of awareness to soldier and veteran mental health issues, because we've got a lot of shit to deal with, whether it's the bad stuff you saw downrange or the transition, which frankly was in many ways more stressful for me than any of the deployments. I mean, guys who dedicate their lives to this, service like we do, having to make a change when you're 37, 39, 43 years old, that's a stressful event, and guys don't always deal with it well. So that's my little plug to kind of segue from both what Buddy was saying, what Rob was saying. And then the last thing I'd say, just sort of opening this story up, is that I do understand Italian. At least I can I can follow
un poco, un poquino.
Yeah,
poquino,
that's
sí.
right.
So hey, tell us about your book, brother.
Yeah, so my book's called The Sulu Arms Market. It is it's probably one of 3 books that were written about the illicit arms trade in Southeast Asia, and the only one that was written about specifically the Philippines, Indonesia, and Malaysia. And so I wrote that book as part of my my master's research when I was a student at the University of Malaya in Kuala Lumpur, and that was part of a program called the called the Olmsted Foundation Scholarship. It's private money, and they send military officers around the world to study. The idea being that getting a broader view of the world makes an officer a better leader, just because you can kind of see multiple solutions to problems. That's the thinking. Anyway, I was in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, which I had selected because I worked there once with First Special Forces Group, and it was a place that I thought could challenge me without challenging me too much, if you know what I mean. It's a nice place to live, but it's different. And so while I was there, I was like, man, I got to do something that's useful to First Group, that's useful to like that I'm interested in, because I wanted to go back to group. And I knew there was a pretty rampant arms trade down there due to a lot of the insurgent activity, both in Indonesia and the Philippines. And so I kind of gravitated toward that. And long story short, I wrote a master's thesis and I got a degree out of it. But then I was like, someone should read this. If it just sits in the fucking library in the University of Malaya collecting dust, it's just going to collect dust. So let me go out and see if someone wants to publish it. And long story short, I found a publisher, and it got published, and it got nominated for an award, which it didn't win. But what's interesting about that, and maybe important for veterans to know, is that you can be an expert in a lot of things, and unfortunately, the world we live in, if you don't get a stamp of approval on your expertise from some sort of institution, you get forgotten, and it's hard to crowdsource your expertise. There's a few guys out there that they're making YouTube videos and they're writing articles and they're doing shit, and they become considered experts in their field by their own kind of efforts. But for the vast majority of people out there, you've got to have some institution behind you saying, we've done the due diligence on this work and it's good and it's worth considering. So when I did that, I wrote this book, the Institute of Southeast Asian Studies published it. I became the world's expert on the illicit arms trade in Southeast Asia, which was pretty neat because I was still active duty. And I went back to group, and we had Jasota P going on at the time. And the commander was like, "Hey, you're the guy that wrote the book." And I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, we don't fucking pay attention to that." I'm like, "Okay, well. All right, sir." But yeah, so that's the book. It's about the arms trade. It opened some doors for me, but I'm not an academic. I haven't followed up. It was a one-off thing.
And I'm sure we can get that on Amazon, any bookstore, or
Yeah, you'll have a hard time finding in bookstores in the States. You'll find them in Asia, but Amazon has it. Google Books has it. It was on Apple Books for a while. I don't know if it still is. It's available. You can get it out there, or you can just call me and I'll send you a hard copy.
Yeah, so we make fun of every guest in the song, and so you'll have to hear it later. But the song said the song said that you're writing a second book because nobody read your first one.
That's right.
So
that's pretty much
what
true.
is your what is your second book going to be about?
Oh my God, I've written like 5 second books, fellas. I mean, no kidding. Like I've started and just failed to complete anything. And the one that you're referring to, which is in my bio, was one that I've kind of, in the interim, I've called it Project Stranger, because there was an old Iron Maiden song, and there's an album, I don't know, Stranger in a Strange Land. And as an SF officer, like running around the world, I kind of felt like that a lot of times. And I liked it. I liked doing that. I liked being a stranger in a strange land. I spent 9 years of my career outside the United States. And so I called it Project Stranger, and it was really just a memoir. But for those of you who have read Winston Churchill's writing, and I'm not comparing myself to Churchill, but I took a lot of inspiration from the way he tells a story.
I was actually about to ask if you were kind of portraying yourself as Winston Churchill.
No, that's kind of what it sounds like.
I was gonna say
I'm in far better shape than old Winston, but
yeah. you don't have that blustery English accent.
No, I certainly don't.
Everywhere.
I'm working on the gut, though. I am getting to that point. But yeah, so if you've read Winston Churchill, he has a real talent for writing about a specific place in the world, like a battle or a campaign or some political decision, but then tying that to all these big decisions that were happening with the crown and the cabinet and the prime minister and number 10, and just tying it to what was going on in the world on a large scale. And so what I think a lot of soldiers lose is that we lose sight of what's going on and why we are where we are. Why did Mike Tarlowski take a round in the face in Basra? What brought us to that point? Why was it important? Why was I running around like talking to oil companies in Chad in 2005? And what I liked about Churchill, and for you Afghanistan vets out there, I can't recommend highly enough his book that's called good grief, the Malacan Field Force. And it's about like a battalion or a brigade of the British Army in fighting the Pashtuns on the border with Pakistan. And what he does is, he's taking those battles and tying them to the big movements of the day. So I try to do that with Project Stranger. You're not going to read too many stories on Project Stranger that don't have a larger meaning.
Yeah, I learned from the Princess Bride that you should never start a land war in Asia.
You should.
I
think I wrote about that.
That was pretty much exactly. I think Churchill was on the same wavelength as that with Afghanistan. You just don't go over there. Except we did, and Colonel Rob, what did we take over that country in about 4 days?
Yeah, and then we stayed there for another 19 years.
Yeah, exactly.
To quote Andy Marshall, the one of the guys that was there
Triple
for
Nickel.
the invasion from Fifth Group from the Nickel. Yep. Yeah, we took over that whole country with about 200 guys. Added 20,000, been bogged down ever since.
I don't know what did Summers? Did he stay in to become a captain? Did you know Summers?
Know Will Summers?
I know Summers.
Yeah, Will Summers was the Echo on Andy Marshall's team.
Yes,
Will Summers was my dive
I know
buddy.
Summers. So yeah, that's that guy was awesome dude.
He is an amazing
he went
guy.
green to gold.
He did.
Where did I was like, I wonder what he got out as, or if he's still over somewhere kicking ass at fucking 70, still doing 5,000 push-ups.
Yeah.
Dude was a monster.
Yeah, he was my swim buddy in pre-scuba, and then we were roommates together down in Key West. Will Summers is a great man. Yeah.
Yes, tremendous. He's. I always tell people I was really young in the Army when I met him, and he's still the best NCO I've ever met in my life.
He's an amazing guy, man.
He was friggin' awesome. But where can talk more about the dive program again, and like where can do? Is it a nonprofit?
It's a nonprofit. So
and where can people go to donate to it and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so if you go to our website, www.combatdiver.org, you'll pretty much see everything you need to see there. There's a big donate button on the front page. There's a video of, which incidentally is of me at last year's event, talking about our mission and some of the history of the organization, what brought us into being and so forth, and what our mission is. And our mission started with preserving a very specific artifact, and Buddy, you can appreciate this. Every class that goes through the dive school at Key West makes a plaque. Going back to the early mid 60s when the school down there started, the first plaques were like pictures of the dudes, like the guys in the course. And that pattern sort of held. It sort of held, like every class is like, okay, we're putting our pictures up on these plaques. And they become this, over 40 years, they became this who's who of a very kind of niche group within special operations writ large.
Not only a niche group in special operations, but if you look at those pictures, if you look at you say what you want, and I'll argue till I die that airborne guys are different than other guys because of the infill platform, because they're not with their leaders when they land, and it grows them different. I will also argue until I die that a combat diver is a different type of human. They won't quit. They won't quit on their buddies. And that's the thing. They're never, ever going to give up.
I mean, physically, that's probably one of the hardest schools in the Army, right?
It is not. It, you know what? Physically, it is what it is.
Not like
It's,
strength wise, but just I guess mentally as
Yes.
well.
Mentally, it is because it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter how good you are. At some point,
You're gonna reach that
daily-
breaking point, right? Yeah.
Well, at some point daily, you're underwater with no air, and you have to stop and go. Just don't be a bitch. Just do what you got to do. Calm the fuck down and do what you got to do.
Yep.
And then maybe you'll make either that or you have to sell out. Because you're either gonna pass out and drown, and then they're gonna bring you up, give you some air, and put you right back underwater, or that's a real thing. When I did dive suit, I remember I was doing. I was a safety swimmer, so I was on air while they were doing the 1-man testing, and I remember bringing dudes up when they pass out, because you pass out, you don't drown.
It's hard
the
to
first
look at,
time.
man.
It's the second time. I remember bringing a dude up, turn him around. As soon as the air hits their face, they kind of wake up anyway. You bring him up, turn him around, get him on the pool deck. I looked on the pool deck. It looked like a triage from Vietnam. There's dudes laid out everywhere, and I was like, Jesus. Yeah, it's
that's a psychological feat. That's a psychological feat. Just keep going until you're like, fuck it. You know, it's impressive, man.
I got to tell you, I mean, the whole thing's a psychological exercise. And what Buddy was talking about, when one guy passes out like that, you'll start to see multiples because they notice. You know, maybe not on the 1-man because they can't see anything, but on other events, you know, guys will start going down in large numbers, and then
Right.
and it you know, for me, there's an event called the weight belt swim, and you've got to swim around for like 20 minutes with 16 pounds of lead on, and it's a smoker. For me, I took it the opposite way, and I just tried to relax. And what I noticed was that the guys around me who were straining and struggling to get through this thing were freaking me out, and it was raising my heart rate. And so I just got in the habit of putting my face up against the side of the pool, and all I would see was like blue tiles going by while I'm doing the UDT recovery stroke, you know, and it would calm me down. I'd be like, all right, everything's blue. And that's how you get through it. But the point of that is, man, you've got to learn how to control a very deep part of your psyche in dive school, which I didn't necessarily have to deal with in schools like Airborne or, you know, SEER or Ranger School or any of that. That's a different kind of stress.
I was gonna, you know, caveat off of that as well. And like with the number of people that just that mentality of why what Buddy's saying is there's just something special about a diver. There's something special about a paratrooper. And then when, especially as an enlisted guy, because officers, they just give you the Ranger tab. But like, so as an enlisted guy,
could be true.
No, that's not true. You have to stand on a footlocker and eat a worm. That's how you get your Ranger tab.
I cried.
So
Rob had to hold my hand through that event.
Yeah, that's where I met Colonel Rob. I was an RI down in Florida, and you know it gets pretty hot in Florida. And you know, as soon as one guy goes down, you know, it's just boom, 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 and it's like, guys, stop. You know, you got to stop the whole movement, and you bring one of the RIs up, and you stick the thermometer in him, and you're like, he's 101. It's like, do you know why? Because it's 102 fucking degrees outside. Okay, so. You guys are fine. We're not going to let you die. All right. So just stop, you know, and, you know, prayers to the family of the Ranger that died down there just recently. But again, it's tough training. It's, you know, it's what sets us apart.
Yeah. If it was easy. Yeah. If it was easy, everybody could do it. You know, I can remember times, particularly in 4th Battalion. So I worked at Ranger School twice, unfortunately. And when you start walking those patrols and the legs are even shorter, but like Nick was saying, one guy goes down and like the entire battalion has to stop because Joe can hear the radio. Right. And let's be honest, like if guys can freaking fuck off, they're going to do everything that they can. So if one dude fakes, and he goes down, you know, the usual remedy to that is, you know, hey, we're going to take a rectal core temp, and that usually kind of dissuades everybody else from jumping in on the passing out from the heat exhaustion. But even still, you know, that's one of those things that that mental breaking point that happens with everybody. You know, it doesn't matter if it's dive school, ranger school, airborne school, SEER, you quit every day. You just don't tell anyone. And like, that's what, you know, we would look at each other, my ranger buddy, we're like, hey man, you quit? Yeah, I quit. All right, I'm good. And then you move for the rest of the day. And having that ability to kind of have that momentary moment of weakness and check out and then check back in is how you finish all of these courses. And that's how you survive in combat and in life, is just having that moment of weakness, acknowledging it, and then moving on.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. When go ahead, buddy.
Well, I was just gonna caveat, if you will. I think you're right, but I think the people that are successful at those schools, ranger school, combat diver, airborne, freaking outer space basket weaving, all those courses, like the thing that sets the graduates apart from the people that don't graduate is that they're all very individual courses that are also linked to a team. So if you quit, somebody's got to carry your stuff. And a lot of those guys, the reason they don't quit is because, you know, I didn't quit ranger school because I had a rope. If I had a rope and I quit, somebody was going to have to carry that rope and their other stuff. I didn't quit dive school because if I freaking didn't carry my brick while I was treading water, I was going to have to give it to somebody else. They were going to have to hold that brick. And the time was still going to be the time. It's just whether they had to carry it for 30 seconds or 45 seconds because I was there or I wasn't. You know what I mean? Most of those courses, the thing that sets it apart is that the people that graduate care about everyone else that's in the course with them as much or more than they care about themselves. And that kind of like parallels, you know, our mission with the soldier suicide, stopping soldier suicide, is that, you know, you've got to care about the guys that are, you know, the other veterans just as much. If you give up, you're just allowing them to have a reason to give up too, because somebody's watching. Somebody sees that you're dealing with your bullshit and you're healthy and you're trying to move forward. And then if you quit, then there are other people that go, well, fuck, if that guy quit, man, maybe I should quit. You know what I mean? So it's up to you to keep fucking moving. Keep doing what you got to do, and be public about it so that people know that you struggle just like everybody else.
Yeah, that's right, buddy. Again, it's the whole system. We talk about it all the time, and I know those new listeners. And I see Kaylin Hubbard's on Gruntworks. I hope you're feeling better. She's been pretty sick lately, but our prayers are with you as well. And we know that. I know who she is because of our community that we built. And if Facebook didn't shut us down, we'd be at probably 1 million people by now, right? So it's like we as a community are who needs to take care of each other. And it's a complex system that's got a lot of flaws, you know, for taking care of veterans. It's not one thing. We keep saying it. We're going to keep reiterating it. It's not the VA. It's not just the VA. It's not just, you know, transition. It's not just, you know, opioids. All right. Those are all factors in a giant system. And like Buddy said, it's, you know, you think you're ending your pain. So if anybody is watching right now or listening that thinks that they're going to end their pain with suicide, you're just going to make it hurt for more people. All right. You're just going to make more veterans hurt. All right. You're going to give a veteran another idea that he or she probably shouldn't have in their head. Okay. Because they're like, well, like Buddy said, if Buddy did it, I mean, Buddy was a strong dude. Right. So, I mean, if he can't handle it, now that cancer starts getting in your head and it starts screwing you up. And again, with what Colonel Rob said, you know, you quit every day. It's just whether or not you acknowledge it and keep moving. And I would do the speeches for the pre-Rangers, because when I got sent out to Hawaii, there was like 5 Rangers out there. And so I kept getting pegged with that detail of giving the speech. And, you know, I would always say, especially to the younger officers, I would say, hey, look, when you get down there, there's going to be a time where you're going to be an extreme shithead. All right. You're going to be a shitbag that's, you know, and you're going to know it. You're going to know that you're doing something right now that's lazy and could possibly get one of your buddies to no-go. All right. Everybody does it in Ranger School. And it's whether or not you catch yourself. And it's like, yeah, you know, I could easily fall asleep right now, but fuck, man, if the RI catches me, he's going to give my bro a no-go, right? And then, but that also worked out for the RI's favor, because we could tell when somebody was not liked in a platoon. So like when that guy got his leadership position and all of a sudden the whole fucking platoon's racked out, it's like, yeah, I don't think they like you very much. So it's like, maybe we'll look forward to your peers. But again, your life's a struggle, right? But it's the journey and the ambiguity you have to embrace and you have to enjoy. All right. You got it. You might turn left when you thought you were going to turn right. All right. Derek Zoolander can't turn left, but he made it work. Okay. So it's just the way it is. You're going to be a shithead in your life sometimes. You're going to quit. All right. There's going to be a time where you're going to feel sorry for yourself. All right. Acknowledge it. It's okay. All right. And now pick yourself up and try a different way. So I like, again, it's crazy. Just a different level of human being that is willing to care for the person to the left and right of them. And once you go to these units, and obviously the SF guys, they're surrounded by those same guys that will do that for you. But they'll tell you. I mean, buddy, there's been shitheads in SF, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah.
We got our fair share. Yep, we do. We got
to take it to the next level, right? And it's you don't get into some of the problems that SF guys get into in regular units typically.
Right. Well, and the other problem with the shithead, like the shithead in an infantry platoon is a shithead in amongst 30 shitheads, right? So he's an issue, but he's not a showstopper. The shithead on an SF team is one of 12 people, and he's one of 2 people that do a specific job. So if he's a shithead, he's an issue. Like that's a problem. But they end up getting moved off of teams, and they get moved to different places, right? Because they're not shitheaded enough that they're going to lose their tab, but they're shitheaded enough that maybe they go to S3 or they go to
they go become instructors, or what do they do?
I mean, there's some that do. I'm not. Yeah. Yes, that is 100% a thing. Like they get switched. There are many places that they can be hidden. That being said, it doesn't. He's right. It doesn't matter where you are. There are shitheads everywhere. Like there really are. But on the other side, like some of the best people I know are from the 82nd or from 5th Special Forces Group.
Center Universe, back at Bragg.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the division. It's always going to be better there.
The division.
Yeah.
Hey Nick, can I take it back to the plaques for just a second, because it's going to come full circle to what your all's mission is, and that we wanted to preserve the class plaques down at Key West, and those are a real specific artifact. When I was a company commander in 2010, I went down to Key West to watch 2 of my dive teams do a requal. I had 2 dive teams in my company, which was really cool. And I went down there and I had made my class plaque, and I knew there were some structural weaknesses in it. So I wanted to go do some maintenance. And it took me on this journey of discovery through the compound. And I was looking at all the plaques, and they were in shit state. A lot of them, and that's not pointing fingers, man. Some of these things are 50 years old, and they're in the sun. Fault. Yeah, probably. I mean, they're in the sun, and the air.
They're made by a bunch of people who were hungover and or drunk, trying to just get a plaque done.
Yep.
Before they,
and they've proliferated. They've expanded beyond like the common areas into the classrooms, into the common areas, and into even the barracks rooms. And guys will come back drunk from Key West and fall down, knock them off the wall, and they get broke or whatever. So I mean, it was a difficult problem to deal with, but in fast forward, when I was in CJTFOIR with Colonel Rob, actually, when I was as a civilian, which is another story altogether, they had a historian on the staff. And I was like, this shit about the plaques has been bothering me for fucking years. Let me go talk to this historian and see if there's something that can be done. And he's like, look, call my counterparts at SWIC. Here's the number. I'll introduce you. And he did. He gave me an intro. And so I called the historian's office at SWIC. And I was like, hey, man, these plaques are in bad shape. I'm willing to help. What do you guys need? Can I raise money for you? Is there anything we can do? And the guy on the other end of the line was like, fuck you. We don't know who you are. We can't take your fucking money. Go away. I mean, it was really not a good conversation. I was like,
I'm hungover. Leave me alone.
Yeah, I was like, I'm talking to the wrong dude. It was probably some GS9 who's, answering the phone or whatever. And
worse, he's not a diver.
That, yeah. And so I was like, okay, I got to incorporate. And I had learned that lesson from, one, setting up my company, Navisio Global, and two, that experience I mentioned to you about getting an institutional stamp of approval. I needed to create the institution. So I made the Combat Diver Foundation with this goal. What I didn't realize is that maybe as a result of my phone calls and emails or whatever, maybe not, the Army decided to take those plaques, which were previously just basically junk being protected by the cadre. You know, if it's just junk, you're one commander decision away from having those things in the dumpster. I mean, the history of that community could have gone, you know, one major has been like, we don't have room for these things, fucking throw them away.
Kind of happened, actually.
Yeah, it probably has.
Some of that, well, no, it did. There was one of the commanders down there decided, because there are some of those plaques that are politically incorrect.
Yeah, they are. Yep.
So somebody took red spray paint and spray painted over some of them because they had a boob on there.
I knew there were some issues there, but I hadn't heard the red spray paint story until now. In any case, you know, so the Army made those. They didn't just put them on the property receipt; they made them historical artifacts. So which is good in a way. They're controlled by the Center for Military History, and they're part of the museum system. But what it means is that suddenly the Combat Diver Foundation couldn't touch them. They're like fucking radioactive, man. And so we started reevaluating like what we're about. What are we about? Is it just this one artifact, or is there a broader historical mission here that needs help? And so we expanded the mission out to preserving the history of the combat diver community, and that's a broad international concept, and constructing the Combat Diver Museum. And so we're unveiling a virtual museum next week. Next week? Yeah, phase 1 is next week. And, you know, I may go down to Key West this summer to talk about taking over a building at Truman Annex to use to create the real museum. You know, it's a long-term project and it's a labor of love, but we've got an organization now. You can't get these things done with a GoFundMe.
You said virtual museum. They can catch that online. So shoot the plug out real quick.
I don't. It doesn't exist yet. It's coming out next week, so we don't have a link.
The
but
future, Dave.
It's the future. Yeah.
I wish I could share my screen. I'm going to give you guys an exclusive here.
The future is now.
The future
is now.
Yes,
you're actually in the movie right now. You're like, this is right now.
Everything's
right
possible
now,
nowadays. Everything's possible.
Hey, while he's pulling up that stuff, Colonel Rob, you got a podcast too, and I was fortunate enough to come on it. Well, give yourself a plug on that one, and then we'll put it in there.
Yeah. Okay. So, I do Philosophy from the Front Line. I'm 40 episodes in. I actually have hit 1 year. It was actually last week. And what I do is I interview transitioning veterans that are leaving the military. And I've had some pipe hitters on just, you know, by the grace of people reaching out and connecting. Yes, I've had Lino on there as well, but
the Winston Churchill
pipe hitters,
of West
and then
Point.
Lino goes
and me.
Yeah. You got pipe hitters in the Winston Churchill of West Point.
Yes, but the reality of it is it's just getting opportunities to reach out and talk to veterans that have transitioned. Some of which transition at 5 years. Some people transition after retirement, and it's just a great opportunity to kind of peek through the glass and understand that. Everybody's transition story is unique to them. It's as unique to you as your DNA. So what may have caused, you know, Lino a problem getting out may have been completely different for me or finding a job. And I've had some really good people on there. Matthew J. Lewis, who is wrote a book called Mission Transition. So if you're looking to get out, please grab a hold of that one.
I was in a gay porn called Mission Transition. It was weird.
Yeah. I'm sure it's not the same content, but hopefully it will help you get out of the Army. It won't help you now. Things have changed.
It could.
There's money in that, right?
Yeah, true statement.
So I heard.
It's a growth market.
Yeah, but I basically I put this out and interview folks that actually have transitioned. And one of my most recent guests was he's a retiree, and you'll have to look him up. His name's Dale Roberts, but Dale was an old, if you remember the 525 commander that got shot in the parking lot a few years back, he was his sergeant major. And so he has a pretty unique perspective on that and understanding how understanding how difficult it is to transition, because some people have been out for 10 years and they're still transitioning from the Army. And that's a very, very difficult thing. But the main thing is, you know, and to caveat onto what everybody else has been saying, and I'll pile on a little bit, is it's about the phalanx, man. It goes back to your roots as a grunt, right? The phalanx in Spartan society was 16 across and 16 in depth. And the key piece of it was everybody protected the person to the left or to the right of them with their shield arm, right? So you, from thigh to neck, you're protecting the person next to you. And that was why it was such an effective technique before we started projectile weapons and all those other things. So being able to maintain the phalanx, regardless of if it's in your personal life or in the workplace or whatever, is very, very important, because you're covering your buddies left and right. And because veterans suicide and all the veterans issues that we have are they're very personal to the community that we have, it's going to require people in that community to kind of come alongside folks and protect them from themselves at some point. And so it's always nice to be able to contribute to you guys at Veteran Trash Talk, just because your mission speaks for itself, and what you guys are trying to do to stop soldier suicide and get veterans help and assistance that they need to successfully transition from the Army.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If we can, if we can help one person, and that's why, I keep bringing it up with Instagram. Every time we post them on Instagram, you have these military communities that say direct message us for shout outs.
Yeah, what's that about?
Yeah. And then pay us to promote. And I was like, and I always write, I respond, hey, we promote veterans for free. You should try it. It's awesome. It's like, and it's our own therapy every Saturday. Like I said, Saturday is my favorite day because I get to talk with my battle buddies. And we're going to go on the Ron and John show on May 20th, though, the old Troxel show. And we're going to, he's going to ask us, why did we start it? And I keep telling people, I was like, I'm active duty. All right, Buddy's active duty, Dave's active duty. And when COVID hit, they shut down all of our pain management, all of our physical therapy. And it was like, well, what are veterans doing right now? Because I can get it pretty easily. I can just go walk over to a building and get, treatment. A veteran's got to wait a month, maybe 2 months. And then he's got to drive somewhere to go get it, but that's why we started, recording this and just talking to each other. And it turned into something. And that's what we're here for. So if you got a veteran-owned business and you want to promote it, if you got some war stories, you got a squad that wants to come on and talk about a rough day, if you and that'll help you get over it. You'll never get over it, but it'll help you. That those demons come out, and there's going to be everybody on this show is going to understand what you're talking about, because we're the real deal. You can't bullshit us. You might try, but it's not going to happen. Like when Lino said he was Winston Churchill, we didn't believe it, but maybe Buddy did, because I don't think Buddy knows who Winston Churchill.
I regret saying
that. He takes it back. Yeah.
No, I still like his writing, but
no take backs.
Nick, everybody,
this is all live.
Everybody knows that Winston Churchill is the guy that invented cigarettes. Dumbass. Duh.
Yeah. Him and Colonel Sanders, right?
Churchill.
No. I'm tracking the reference.
Hey, Nick and Dave, I think you asked the question about the virtual museum. I put a link to the YouTube video in there if you want to show it. I don't know if that's possible.
Yeah, we'll end it. I was talking to Chris, our fake agent. Hey, thanks for working in the background, Chris. He's back there getting the video primed. So Dave, when you do close out, just tell everybody to stick around and watch the video. So
let me say this about the video. That is an unauthorized first draft, and we've been working with the developers to tweak the details so it doesn't look as cheesy as it does. But
we have it now, so it's authorized.
Well, it's pretty cool, right? Even as cheesy as it is, it's pretty neat, and it shows what we did is we contracted this Canadian company to do a virtual museum for us, and it's going to be full of virtual exhibits. But for those who can't see this just yet, it looks like a space station underwater, and it spirals down into the depths, and that takes you through history, and there will be different exhibits along the walls and stuff that you can look at. What's neat about it is these Canadian guys got a bunch of nerds from like the Balkans that immigrated over, and they just got super excited about it. And they have an architect on the team, and this guy turned an idea into just an amazing thing. And so if you get to see it, it looks really, really cool, and we're really proud of it. And It's going to have a theater. It's going to have, a place where you can join and support the Combat Diver Foundation. You can contribute to the history. It's going to be some kind of what they call Easter eggs, little games for the kids that they can go in and get interested in history. But yeah, and so we're marshaling the combat diver community to bring that history to life, and then the virtual museum will eventually complement the real museum. That's the idea. So they aren't mutually exclusive. One's not going to go away when the other one comes into being. But yeah, I mean, segueing back to y'all's mission about, veteran mental health. I mean, we do take that really seriously, and we want to bring attention to that this year with our fundraiser and combat diver reunion, and we're memorializing John Worka. And I mentioned Worka was a guy that nobody saw this coming. And I think one of you mentioned that. Like nobody saw this coming, and he was down in El Salvador on a thing and didn't come home. And his that leaves a lot of ripples in the community and the family and the friends. And so our largest single donation has come from a family friend and said, find a way to honor John. And so that's what we've done. So we're doing this 5K in his memory.
Yeah, I do the 5K with you, but I gave up cardio for Lent and I just carried it on because it's
cool, man. You can still come down and participate in the auction and get free drinks. Because
Buddy will come down. Buddy will come down.
Cardio. But for real, what are the dates of that? And then how do you just go to the Combat Diver to your website?
Yeah, the event's called Deep Dive 2021. And if you go to combatdiver.org, you'll see it at the top of the screen, and the pages there has all the information. That said, registration doesn't open until 1 June. Okay. And what registration means is, I mean, you can come and hang out with us in the bar without registering. It'd be awesome.
I mean, you could try to stop me.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's an open kind of concept, the Floribama. We're hoping to have a demonstration.
BTT get together in Florida, Nick? I don't know. Maybe
it'd be cool, man.
We got buddies down there. We're all RIs down there. So we got plenty of connections. We could start networking some stuff down there.
Yeah. Well, we've talked to the Rangers actually about doing the demonstration and the static display. So we're going to have definitely.
What did they say?
Display. They said they want to do it. They said also,
if they said no, let me know. So
well, the 75th is who we talked to. We didn't talk to 6 RTB just yet. And 75th doesn't have a dive capability, which is an interesting factoid. But they've got some guys who have been to the dive school and have some combat swim capability, and they've got equipment. So
the 6th Ranger Bat has got the combat divers, and all of their guys are one of the a guy that I went to high school with was a diver down in 6th fucking Ranger
6 RTB, buddy.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. That cordial kicking in. Shout out to 10th.
That cordial's kicking in. Yeah. Hey, that's everybody who didn't watch our beginning video. That's the Alabama Father of the Year 5 years running. So big kudos to that.
True. And, I talked that kid into a mullet, and it's looking real good right now.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Hey, it was an absolute pleasure having you on, Lino. And again, now that you've been on the show, feel free to promote whatever you want on our page. All right. Cool. Just put it out there and we'll get the message out and help you as much as we possibly can. So Dave, if you want to close this out.
Yeah, Lino, hey, really appreciate you, man. Phenomenal organization. We might have to look into this Florida trip. I think if Buddy's going to come down there, Nick and I might be, who knows? We might make it happen. So again, thanks.
I know a guy with a penthouse on Pensacola.
Yeah, we got plenty of buddies down there.
Don't threaten me with a good time. Pensacola in the summer and a bunch of combat divers. Save some chicks for everybody else, bros.
We're gonna do a charity dive and a 5K and a bunch of beer drinking and an auction. So it's gonna be fun.
Woo! That's the life right there.
Yep.
Colonel Rob, as always, thanks for stepping in and jumping in. I listen to your podcast as well. Specifically, the stuff that you hit on is that transitioning, which is extremely important because that's when the second battle begins. You fight your wars overseas and then you come home and then you transition and then that's when all the crappy stuff happens, so phenomenal stuff. For all you listeners and everybody that's watching, veterantrashtalk.com. Okay. That'll give you the links to everything. Shop.veterantrashtalk.com. All right. Part of our proceeds go to stop soldier suicide. Everyone have a wonderful Saturday. It's 10th Mountain Time. Type in VTT, get a discount. I'm going to have me a drink. I'm out.
Audio's still live. Play the video, you fake Asian back there.
Yeah, Rob, I just
We gotta be quiet. Dave, we gotta be quiet while the video's playing.
I love hearing recorded feedback on the site, guys. Like I said, buddy, you're gonna laugh. It's a little bit cheesy. Don't trust me. I'm working with them on the combat diver details. This is an early draft, so hopefully it's better next week.
Yeah, I'm watching it right now.
Yeah. I can't watch more than one thing at once, so I'm gonna have to wait until after to watch it.
What are you watching? Is it up on YouTube right now?
It's on Gruntworks. We're live on Gruntworks.
Oh, cool.
No, I'm talking about the video that he sent. The link.
Yeah, it's playing right now, buddy.
Right now, buddy.
So the story there is.
Right now?
I hear it. The kind of fun tongue-in-cheek story there is, it's a story of this combat diver who makes a big entrance at the Combat Diver Virtual Museum.
Where do we turn to veteran trash talk? Where do we turn to veteran trash talk? Where do we turn to veteran trash talk? Bravely every morning. Bad days, good days, up we rises. Bad days, good days, up we rises. Bad days, good days, up we rises. Bravely every morning. One day I'm okay, next day darkness. One day I'm okay, next day darkness. One day I'm okay, next day darkness. Bravely every morning. Bad days, good days, up we rises. Bad days, good days, up we rises. Bad days, good days, up we rises. Bravely every morning. Past is the past, so be forgiven. The past is the past, so be forgiven. The past is the past, so be forgiven. Bravely every morning. Bad days, good days, up we rises. Bad days, good days, up we rises. Bad days, good days, up we rises. Bravely every morning. Let's fight, don't quit, call that in order. Let's fight, don't quit, call that in order. Let's fight, don't quit, call that in order. Bravely every morning. Bad days, good days, up we rises. Bad days, good days, up we rises. Bad days, good days, up we rises. Bravely every morning. Raise a glass for those we're missing. Raise a glass for those we're missing. Raise a glass for those we're missing. Bravely every morning. Bad days, good days, up we rises. Bad days, good days, up we rises. Bad days, good days, up we rises. Bravely every morning. That's what we do in veteran trash talk. That's what we do in veteran trash talk. That's what we do in veteran trash talk. Bravely every morning.